I am so excited about this conversation. This is a brand new journey for us here at the Kit Institute, what we're calling our Convo Cast series, the executive life. Now, what is the executive life? You do not have to have CEO or executive in your title. It is real women leaders who are actually in the trenches doing the work. These are conversations that I'm hoping are going to inspire and encourage us all to just dig deep and find the ABCs of what the executive life looks like. ABCs because every single month we're going to be talking about a different letter and what that looks like and what that shows up like in different women's lives. So today we're going to talk about ambition. I'm going to get an official definition on the table, and then we're going to talk to our guest, Dr. Baker, and I am so excited about this conversation. So, official definition of ambition: a strong desire to do or to achieve something, typically requiring determination and work. My co-host, Morgan Holmes, do you know anything about determination and hard work since we have been working together as a mother and daughter duo for almost a decade? What do you know about ambition?
Yeah, that is the definition. Ambition is the get up and go when you really, really, really don't want to. To be honest with you, it is the things are not working. What can I do to continue moving forward and just pivoting and trying and pivoting and trying and just continuing to move in some direction, even if that's not, the overarching ultimate direction of your life. You know that you're taking steps in the direction you feel you should be. So that's what I define ambition as.
So, Dr. Baker, how do you define ambition?
I think your definition is spot on. And what I would say is what I love about that definition, it's not just the desire, right? A lot of us have a lot of desires to do a lot of things. But if that desire is not paired up with that hard work, with that determination, and with that focus, then I'm not sure that that's truly ambition. It's simply desire. And so I think, again, your definition is spot on. But you certainly need to have that hard work and that determination and that focus for you to actually achieve the things you desire in life.
So, as women, right, this almost seems like to me, in my experience over the years, as a curse word. When a woman is called ambitious, there are a string of expletives that might follow that particular definition. So, in your life and in your leadership, Dr. Baker, how has ambition impacted you? How has it shown up deep down and then in the exterior for everyone else?
Yeah, I would add, not just as women, but women of color, as Black women. I have found as a Black woman that oftentimes people don't know what to do with my ambition. There's almost like this cognitive dissonance, right, between, how society defines how we should show up and the fact that we're ambitious in the way that we show up. And so I have found that there are people who are not always willing to affirm the way we show up because that ambition, I think, can be threatening for some folks. And so, as such, I have found that I need to intentionally seek out people who are going to affirm that ambition. I have to intentionally surround myself with people who are like-minded. And in those moments when you don't have that, you almost have to self-affirm yourself because when you're surrounded by folks who are not willing to affirm the way you show up, you almost have to self-affirm yourself and remind yourself your value, remind yourself of your value, remind yourself what you bring to the table, remind yourself why you're ambitious, and don't stop moving forward, right? And so, yeah, I do find that people are often threatened by it or just don't know what to do with that ambition.
That's interesting. So, Morgan, in your story and in your journey, ambition has been a driving force. I know this as your mom, but personally, how has that impacted who you are becoming and who you have become as a leader, as a business owner, as a mom, as a wife, all those things?
Yeah, I think that for me, it seems like ambition and like iteration go hand in hand. So when I was, working at the chemistry lab and needed more money, to be honest with you. I was like, okay, what other skill sets do I have? What can I do? Started tutoring, and then, use that because I was like, okay, I don't know if this is exactly what I want to be doing forever, running a tutoring company, but I do know that the work that we were doing was something that I wanted to do, and I had bills. So I was going to continue to tutor until such a time as I could pivot again into this full-time work. So for me, I think that kind of having an overarching, like, I have a kind of sort of idea of like where I think that I should be. What do I need to get there? Big picture, but then also like, what are the small things that I need to be, what business do I need to be handling, i.e. paying my bills, making sure the lights stay on, making sure we have food, and what do I need to be doing additionally to support that? And do I need to be pulling in side hustles? Do I need to be thinking about what we're doing differently? So that translates to, business wise, okay, our strategies are kind of sort of working, but what are industry leaders doing? What are some new ways to incorporate what we're doing? So for me, ambition is always directly tied to like, how am I using my skill set and gathering new information to continue to move towards what I think the ultimate goal is. So it's always moving, but also like pulling in credible resources and credible information as I do that.
That's good. So, ladies, I want to throw a little curve here. Is ambition a behavior or a feeling, Dr. Baker?
That's such a good question, and I don't know how to answer just yet. I need for that to sort of sit with me. But what I will say is that, Morgan, you said a lot that resonated with me, and this might answer your question, Dr. Jennifer. I'm not sure, but I often wonder whether or not our ambition is rooted in the awareness that we do have to sometimes fight harder, jump faster, right, to get to that point. What you said, Morgan, was I had to figure out, what else do I need to learn in my industry? What other skills do I need to gain, right? Because I think we recognize by not doing that, we may not be able to get ahead in the ways in which we want to, because I have been around folks who were not as ambitious, but yet were probably further in life for other reasons. That for me, I don't know that I would have had the privilege of being that far in life if I did not have that ambition and I did not seek out additional skills, resources to become a stronger professional. So what you said really resonated with me. And I don't know if that answered your question, Dr. Jennifer, but
No,
Morgan.
it does. You guys are both, what I'm hearing from both of you is it is a combination of these two things. I feel something, right? I'm feeling like I need, or there might be lack in my life, or I want to move forward, or I have goals and ambitions. And those feelings, right, become these motivators that continue to move us forward. And ambition does show up externally. You can see an ambitious woman. I know for me personally, in male dominated environments, that hasn't always been good. It just has not always been. I just point blank, it has not been good. I have not had to succumb to that. And it makes me behave even more ambitious when you tell me that I can't, or you disrespect because I am a woman, or because I am young back in the day, or whatever, or because I am Black. Just tell me that I'm not. And then I'm going to then show you even more, for me, ambition. But I don't know, is that my personality? Somewhat. Or is it this entity called ambition? So what life lessons have we learned from being ambitious women? Dr. Baker, I'm going to start with you.
A couple. One, I found that the more ambitious I am, the lonelier it gets. And it gets back to this point of being very intentional about who you surround yourself with. Not everybody's going to be your cheerleader. And so I'm very intentional about who I surround myself with. My other life lesson has been to really be clear about what my non-negotiables are as I continue to be ambitious. We talked about family, we've talked about motherhood. And in that ambition, I'm very clear that my non-negotiable is my family. I'm somebody's wife, I'm the mother of 4 children. And as ambitious as I continue to be, I need to be clear on why I'm being ambitious, what I'm aiming for, who I'm doing it for, and being mindful that I'm not compromising the things that truly matter to me along the way. So learning what my non-negotiables are and still leading with that while still being ambitious.
I love that. Morgan, any life lessons?
I think what Dr. Baker said about like the why I am ambitious is something that I hadn't put into thought, but that is like the that is the reason, right? So it's like I'm not just doing to be doing. Like I'm doing because there's a very specific need that I think that we are filling here at the Kid Institute, and so I will continue to do because I feel like that need hasn't been satisfied and it hasn't been met yet. And so to that point, yeah, like the lessons are you just keep trying. Like I don't have any other way to say it. It's just like if you see where you're supposed to be, you see where you are, it's not working or it is working, like you keep trying. That's
Mm-hmm.
the full stop with ambition for me.
So, how have we been changed by this topic is the question. And I want to make a sub question to that. We've not talked about money and ambition. So,
Mm.
how does that fit together? And then, how does it change us as female leaders, Dr. Baker?
Ooh, that's a good one. Ooh, money.
Right. Because I mean, when people say ambition, right? I mean, we think Beyonce and we think that's ambition. And obviously, with that, we've got to get paid, right? So, talk to me
Absolutely.
about that. Is
I
that true?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as you grow in your ambition, but also in your own maturity and understanding your value, you know that you can demand a certain level of compensation, based on what you bring to the tables. But you have to know what your value is. And honestly, I like living a lifestyle that can provide a good lifestyle for my family. I like, being able to provide a lifestyle for them where, they can go to a great school, live in a great neighborhood, that sort of thing. And, ambition is part of that. And I often tell my children, because they say mom stands for made of money. And I remind them that this is my money, not your money. And if you want to live like this, you've got to work too, right? And so I think we model that ambition for our children so they understand that the life that they have is one that doesn't necessarily come easy, but there's work, determination, and focus that comes along with that. I think people often see the end result. They just see where you've landed, but they don't see the work, the determination, and the focus that got you there. And so I often try to remind my kids, that yes, there is this lifestyle that comes with it, but ambition is also part of that too as well. So they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I know for us here at the Kid Institute, Morgan, money has not been our friend. We have been in the nonprofit sector for quite some time, and it has been a grind and a hustle. And even as we're building now over the next 10 years, 15, 20 years, money is coming, but it's coming slowly. Does that make us less ambitious? Let's just be real here, Morgan.
No, I don't think so because there's other things that other metrics, if you will, of like success. And we have this conversation on a regular basis about like what do we actually care about? What are the things that we actually need to be using as our benchmarks for success? And money's just not one of those things. I am not personally driven by money so much. Like I very much enjoy having money, yes. But that's not why we do what we do. We're doing it for a very specific reason. We're doing it for specific life change. So things like people touched, people actually engaging with things, actually like those are the metrics of success. And so we could be doing that and making $0. And I think that we would still be active. We would strive to do that as well as we do to the same degree that we do now, even if we weren't getting paid.
But I
Mm-hmm.
like the juxtaposition. I love it, love it, love it, because there's women leaders out there that are from all different backgrounds, all different spectrums, and ambition looks and shows itself differently. So, last question, ladies. What's one piece of advice or one thought or one inspirational idea that you yourself take away from the topic of being an ambitious woman and or something you'd like to share to our audience who's listening, some woman out there, or even man, who's thinking about this idea of being ambitious? What would you say, Dr. Baker?
I'll go back to something Morgan said that I think is really important is about knowing your why and why you're doing what you're doing. Um, I met someone once who said you have to follow the energy. So there's always something in us, right, that's sparking that passion, that desire. You follow that and everything else will come, right? You know, and so as long as you know what your why is and you follow that and you follow that energy, then all the other things you can manifest can come with that. But you've got to know what your why is and you stick to that. And then all these doors open up, all these possibilities open up. But that foundation, like Morgan said, is understanding your why and why you're ambitious and what you're going after.
I love that. Morgan, final
Yeah, I mean, I
thought?
100% agree that was going to be my thing too, was the why takeaway, but also communicating that, especially or communicating it to others, yes, but specifically to yourself, because there are going to be times when you're in circumstances, like I can remember clearly, I was in an engineering program trying to get into a lab to do, lab research or whatever. And the professor was like, well, I don't really understand like why you're doing this and this, that, and the other. And it's like, honestly, it's not for you to understand. Like, I need skill sets. You have you have an environment that I can learn. I know how I plan to apply them later. It's nearly none of your business that you can't see how the dots connect. And I can't see how all the dots connect at 20 years old, but I know that this is the next dot that I need to acquire. Maybe when I, on my deathbed, I'll see, oh, this was a very clear path. That's really not what the point is now. Like for me, kind of always has been like, I can kind of see where the big end goal is. I know what the next step might be. So what do I just need to do to get to the next step? And I know, as Dr. Baker said, that there is a bigger picture at play that I'm working towards. And if I can just take the next step, it will work itself out in the end.
I love this, love this, love this. We don't have any more time, but I do want to wrap by saying this. If you are a woman or a man and you know that ambition is something that is deep within, and or you've never dared to even verbalize out loud, yes, I am ambitious. Own it and think about this topic because it is something that I think intersects our lives every step along the way, especially as female leaders.
Well, that's all the time we have for, as you said. These conversations support our mission to help you become a leader that other people want to follow. So if you want more information or resources, you can visit our website at kitinstitute.org. See you next time.